Hello, and welcome to Inventors Helping Inventors. I'm your host, Alan Beckley, inventor of the Wonder Wallet. If you're an inventor searching for proven ways to make money with your invention, if you dream to see your product selling in stores everywhere, you've come to the right place. There's no better place to get help than from experts, inventors who've already achieved success. Every week, I interview successful inventors, asking them the questions you want to know. Tune in to learn from the experts so you can get your invention out of the tank and into the bank.
Since the beginning of man, people have tried to flush or scrape that capsaicin, that's the compounded peppers, out of our mouths. I've talked to people who said, they will drink milk or they will eat crackers or rice. It's either trying to wash or scrape that out of our mouths. This works completely different.
If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you've heard me talking about the Inventors Bootcamp, right? Over the last 3 years, hundreds of inventors have joined us in the Inventors Bootcamp, and we have lots of exciting success stories from our students. But guess what? The bootcamp is not for everyone. If you like to tinker with invention ideas occasionally on weekends, hoping that someday someone will buy your idea, the Inventors Bootcamp is not for you. If you think it's your job to just come up with ideas and someone else can take care of the rest, prototypes, packaging, and contacting companies, the Inventors Bootcamp is not for you. But if inventing really matters to you, if you know deep in your heart that you've got an invention ripe for success, if you're willing to learn and do whatever it takes to be successful, I'm here to help you, and the Inventors Bootcamp is your ticket, your next logical step forward. So, what is it? When is it? And how do you sign up? The Inventors Bootcamp is 5 days of live interactive Zoom meetings. Monday, March 3rd through Friday, March 7th, for 1 hour each night. Teaches you precisely how to create a clear, concise marketing message, which is exactly what companies want to hear. When you join us, you'll meet other inventors, plus you get a licensing masterclass, and lots more. The next Inventors Bootcamp starts very soon. Monday, March 3rd. Enrollment is open now. Just go to www.alanbeckley.com/bootcamp. Many podcast listeners, just like you, have joined the Inventors Bootcamp. Here are just a few of our success stories. Duncan Ashworth has 2 companies interested in licensing his COVID-killing floor sanitizing invention. Daryl Carter secured a business partner and licensing arrangement. His asthma relief product was set to debut last fall. And Julietta Hughes tested her portrait artist invention. Now she's got a clear strategy for reaching out to companies to license it. Ready to add your success story to our list? The bootcamp is your ticket. Register now at www.alanbeckley.com/bootcamp to save your seat in the March Bootcamp. Welcome to episode number 487. Today, I interview Curtis Breville. Dr. Curtis Breville is an inventor and a veteran leader in the tech world. Born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, he migrated west to the Kansas City metro area for 20 years before he and his family relocated to the North Denver area of Colorado. He has a bachelor's degree in computer information systems, a master's in management, and a doctorate in organizational leadership. He is a published researcher, award-winning volunteer, and was highlighted in People's Magazine's Hero Amongst Us. A consummate problem solver and out-of-the-box creative thinker, Curtis is always seeking answers to common issues. For Curtis, his aha moment as an inventor came in August 2023, when a friend of his daughter was suffering from ingesting spicy hot sauce. He came to the rescue with a little-known solution: hops from one of his jars for brewing. The young man crushed some hops and rubbed them on his lips, getting instant relief from the burning. From this, Curtis invented and developed Dr. B's Elixir, a cooling mouth spray that can prevent or eliminate the pain caused by chili peppers and spicy foods, no matter how hot they are. Today, Dr. B's Elixir sells on his website and on Amazon. Now, chili heads everywhere have a quick solution from the mouth on fire, spicy food problem. In his downtime, he loves to cook, is a home brewer, and he enjoys supporting local brewing pubs, traveling, and spending time with close friends. You'll want to listen to this entire interview where Curtis explains why remedies for spicy food pain, including drinking milk, eating crackers or rice, simply don't work. Also, he shares the science behind why his elixir cures pain from even the hottest of chili peppers, including ghost peppers, scorpion peppers, and Carolina Reaper peppers. And finally, why Amazon is a particularly good platform for Dr. B's Elixir. Now let's get right to our interview with Curtis Breville. Curtis Breville, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast with us today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Curtis, I'd like to start by asking, can you share a bit of your background with our listeners? Where did you grow up and go to school, and what did you do before you became an inventor? Could you share that with our listeners?
Absolutely. I was raised in a very middle-class area of the St. Louis, Missouri metro. My father was a scientist, was also disabled. I attribute my desire to solve problems and my inventor spirit to my childhood. I wanted to help my father to be more self-sufficient in our home so that I wasn't needed and I could go play with my friends. I'd love to say I was more altruistic as a child, but really it was, how do I help my dad to help himself so that I can get out and go do what I want? That upbringing, though, left a lasting impression that has followed me for the years since leaving for college. I left in 1988, St. Louis, moved to Kansas City, and I got my undergrad degree in computer information systems from DeVry. Went on and got my master's degree from Baker University. And then later, I ended up getting my doctorate of management and organizational leadership from the School of Advanced Studies at University of Phoenix.
Great. That gives me some things to think about. That's fascinating. Growing up, and I do see the humor and the accuracy. When you're a child, it's all about you, right? But recognizing, wow, if I can find a way to help my dad with his disabled circumstances, then now I can have more time to go play with my friends, which is really what I want to do when you're a child, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When you grow up that way, and before I can go out and play, I have to wonder, does my father have something to eat and drink? Does he need help into the restroom before I can go play? I just was raised with asking myself these questions before I could go let myself play. And darned it if it didn't last me the rest of my life so far.
Sounds like it served you well. Speaking of your unique elixir, could you describe briefly how your Dr. B's elixir works? Your website describes your elixir as a mouth cooling spray. Do you spray it into your mouth before or after consuming a particularly hot, spicy food? Could you share that with us?
Yes, absolutely. It is currently delivered in spray form. The choice to spray it beforehand or after is completely up to the person. Me, I don't like a lot of spicy food. I just don't eat it that often. So I don't like to experience the spice pain. So I typically always spray beforehand to prevent the pain. It doesn't do anything to the flavor. You still get the flavor. You still get that heat sensation. Me, depending on how hot I eat something, I still get the hiccups, or my forehead starts to sweat, or my eyes and nose start to run. You still get all of that. There's just no pain. Now, many people like to test their pain tolerance. When they exceed it, they can spray it in their mouth to make it go away. Either way works. It's all up to the person.
That's pretty amazing. It gives them a dual option there. In other words, if they want to see how well it goes, and if it gets too hot for them, then they can spray it in their mouth. But that's pretty amazing. Can you share, what does it do different from other current remedies that people use when dealing with hot, spicy foods, trying to mitigate that burn, pain, et cetera. Could you share maybe a couple of the remedies that people most frequently use now, and then how your product differs from that?
Yes, yes. Since the beginning of man, people have tried to flush or scrape that capsaicin, that's the compounded peppers, out of our mouths. I've talked to people who said, oh, they will drink milk or they will eat crackers or rice. It's either trying to wash or scrape that out of our mouths. This works completely different. The reason that capsaicin is burning your mouth or giving you that sensation of a burning mouth is it binds to a certain receptor in our mouth and it sends that signal to our brain and we feel that pain. Mine does not do any of that rinsing out. It simply has compounds in it that bind to a different receptor. It sends a conflicting message to the brain and you just don't feel the pain from the spice.
That's pretty amazing. The question I would have as an add-on to this is, so in so many words, how did you discover this? You must have done a lot of research, and how did you discover how you would come up with something that would bind to a different receptor and therefore, I guess for lack of a better term, fool the capsaicin?
I would love to say that I was so smart that I figured out the science prior to bringing it or discovering its benefits. I had an aha moment, which was back on August 16th of 2023. And my youngest daughter had a friend over who videoed himself eating a tortilla chip covered with ghost pepper sauce. And now I've been a home brewer for 34 years now. And a very early spice food hack I was told at a homebrew club meeting many years ago was to pair a hoppier beer with spicy food. So if you're eating hot wings, get like an IPA, something that has a lot of hops in it. And I just thought that was a cool thing since I was into brewing beer and hey, it had some sort of positive effect. But everybody else had their way of cooling their mouth too. When my daughter's friend was standing over my sink after drinking half my gallon of milk and holding ice cubes to his lips, I had an idea. Now, I didn't have any hoppy beer. Between us, I'm a multi beer fan myself, but I did have a decorative jar of hops that was sitting on my shelf. So I took it down, twisted off the top, poured some of the hop leaves in his hand, told him to rub his hands together to release the oils, then pressed them against his lips. And to all of our surprise and his relief, it wasn't 10 seconds later. He said, the pain's gone. So now, lucky for me, my alma mater has the world's largest online scientific library. So I got on my computer and in no time at all, I end up finding that there's specific compounds that exist in hops that were believed to be the culprit behind the pain eliminating sensation. I decided to find those isolates, get them, and through a lot of trial and error of making something that actually tasted good, it worked. And 40 days later, I launched Dr. B's Elixir Cooling Mouth Spray. And a few months after that, Dr. B's Elixir Competition Strength.
Thanks for sharing that. It's such an amazing story and of the aha moment. And so often the aha moment comes out of kind of something almost accidental. And the fact that you particularly liked hoppy beers and then having I think you said it was your daughter's
That
friend
came over.
that had the burn going on, and you had some hops and you tried that and suddenly you saw, wow, something in those hops makes a
Yep.
big difference. And that's what's making hoppy beer a bit of a solution. And from there, that's what kind of in the back door drove you through the research process of what is it about hops that makes this work, if that's right.
Correct.
Pretty amazing. I wanted to ask another question that is, does it work for hot chili peppers? Like habanero is often listed as one of the hottest chili peppers. With your Dr. B's Elixir, could someone eat one or more habanero chili peppers without their mouths feeling on fire?
Yes. And I want to start off with 100% yes. So for normal people, and I've got my fingers up in quotes, And I use that word with great respect for those who identify as chili heads. Yes, the habanero is one of the hottest peppers you're going to find in your local grocery store. But that level of spice, or that you'll find at most restaurants out there, Thai restaurants or other Asian restaurants or Mexican restaurants, the original white label cooling mouth spray works wonders. Now back to those chili heads. These are the folks that first came out of the woodwork to take interest in Dr. B's Elixir. The habanero might as well be an apple to these folks. These folks grow, eat, and compete eating multi-million Scoville unit peppers. The Scoville heat unit is how peppers are rated on their heat. They start with ghost peppers and scorpion peppers and daddles and the Carolina Reaper or the Pepper X, which is recognized as the hottest pepper in the Guinness Book of World Record. And there's other varieties that a spirited group of these chili heads claim to be hotter than that. For those folks, I've developed and brought to market the gold label competition strength. Same formula, except more of the active ingredient, the isolates that I found. So yes, regardless if you find a jalapeno too hot, the regular spray makes it taste like a green pepper, all the way up to the Guinness Book of World Records, world's hottest pepper. In fact, the owner, the person who invented that, the word came back that his wife loves Dr. B's Elixir because she could now taste her husband's hot sauce without suffering.
Yeah, that's such an amazing story and a creative solution to a problem. And as you said, there's these, let's just sell the mavens, so to speak, that the hotter the better. And you mentioned multi-million on the Scoville scale. So that must be just really crazy, but that's an amazing story. I wanted to ask you about something that inventors almost never particularly enjoy thinking about these things, but it's something that we do have to consider. And that is, have you had any issues with regulatory agencies regarding your claims or your product? And did your product require FDA approval for use? And if not, why not? Could you share that with us?
Fantastic question. So the FDA is not directly involved because we manufacture out of our home base. They don't actually get involved with home-based products. Now, once our manufacturing exceeds what we're able to do here, and our bottling line is not able to keep up with the demand, we need to be at an FDA-approved manufacturing and bottling facility. Luckily, we've already been in discussions with the FDA-approved facilities for this. But as far as the claims go, not so much from the FDA, but there are rules out there. And the venues where we sell will ask about certain wording, or Amazon where we sell wants to make sure things aren't worded in a way that makes it sound like it's a pharmaceutical, because it's an all natural product. They want to make sure that there's no confusion or people aren't taking this for some sort of medicinal use. That's not its intended use. And after a few rewritings of descriptions of it, we're fine.
Thanks again for sharing that. And I actually did not know that if it's home-based, and I presume that's volume-based on some level, that the FDA does not have to be involved until, I presume, you get to a certain level where you would have to involve the FDA. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a certain amount, and it's way above what we have the ability to do internally here. But when you think of everybody who makes baked goods or other types of, maybe they can and sell preserves at farmers markets, and so the FDA has got no interest in, they don't have the people in order to go and try to regulate and verify that everybody who's making something out of their home is meeting certain standards. While we're making what we are making out of our home, they just don't get involved in the home-based businesses. But yeah, if we ended up making, I think, over 100,000 in a certain amount of time, then we exceed that and we'd be viewed as a factory that would then have to follow and abide by a set of FDA guidelines.
Once again, thanks so much for sharing that. And I was thinking of one other question regarding spicy related foods while we were chatting. And that is, if you look at things like Indian curry and other kinds of foods that are thought to be hot or spicy, do your product work for that as well? And doesn't matter whether it's from peppers or any other kind of a spice, or could you share how it works?
Great question. The answer is yes. So things like capsaicin, the peppers that we were talking about earlier, that they bind to a very particular receptor. And without getting into it, it's just called the TRPV1 receptor. And we have that receptor all over our bodies. The things like spicy Chinese mustard or wasabi or horseradish, those types of things, they bind to a different receptor. It's the TRPA1 receptor. Very similar, a little different type of bite to it. But yes, regardless, and the compound in that is something called AITC. And regardless if it's something capsaicin binding to the TRPV1 or it's AITC binding to the TRPA1, does not matter. Ours binds to the TRPM8 receptor, and it sends a conflicting signal, and your brain just doesn't feel the pain from those.
Obviously, there's a lot of science to this. There's nothing trivial at all. There's a lot of science involved here. As we roll towards a close, I'd like to ask, are there any parting words you'd like to leave us with?
Yes. First, I want to say thank you again for having me on your show. But in the same vein that each of us have a different tolerance for spice, we each may need a few more or a few less sprays of Dr. B's. It's really hard to say spray 6 or 7 sprays because some people might need 15 sprays. Some people are fine with after 2 or 3 sprays. It's dependent on the person. That's something that we found, because while I need a certain amount, other people also can get by with less, and some people need more. It's not a wash that rinses away the capsaicin. It's got an active ingredient that just acts differently. We have these receptors all over our bodies, which is why anybody who's ever eaten spicy food has experienced the pain on the other end, either later that night or the next morning. Now, those same receptors, same feeling, spice in, spice out, but, and there's a good but here, once Dr. B's is in your system and goes through your digestive tract, it works its magic there too and eliminates what we call the exit burn.
I really like that a lot. I guess my final question is, how can our listeners reach you if they have other questions or if they'd like to purchase from you?
Thank you very much for this. Go to Dr. B's Elixir or Google Dr. B's Elixir. The website is www.drbselixir.com. And if you're like me, I wasn't used to spelling elixir and I kept putting an ER at the end. I got the URL for that too. So that'll take you to the right spot if you misspell it. So it's drbselixir.com. And you can see articles, watch the videos, then click on shop and give it a try. We sell through Amazon because Amazon has amazing due diligence when it comes to vetting the businesses that sell on it. Then please spread the word. We're a small company trying to grow into a big one. And there's a lot of skepticism out there. When you're the first product in the history of mankind to do what you do, there's a lot of people who will be there saying, it's a scam, buyer beware, there's no way. And I get that. I understand that. I'm hip. Nothing's been out there that's ever done this before. Dr. B's, we stand by it. And we have 100% money back guarantee. If it doesn't do what we say it does, you'll get your money back.
That's great. And you described the contact so well that I don't have to repeat it. A lot of times I repeat it, but you described it very clearly. So that's good because I want to make sure people can get in touch with you. But Curtis, I'd like to just finish by thanking you so much for being on the podcast with us today and sharing your story and your journey and the unique and interesting, innovative product that you've come up with, solving a problem that just about anybody who ever eats anything spicy has encountered.
Well, we make that decision every day. What do I want to eat? Oh, is that going to be too spicy? Can the kids eat it? This eliminates that question. But most people are so used to it, they don't even think that there's an alternative. You could spray it in your mouth, spray it in your kid's mouth, and enjoy whatever it is that's out there.
Such a great point. And I'd like to just reserve the opportunity, maybe another 6 months or a year, to follow up with you again and get back in touch with you and see what you've got going on at that time.
Please, we got a lot of stuff in the hopper right now. I'm trying to do a collaboration with the brewery so that people can go and buy a beer that is made to cool their mouth. So there's a lot of interesting stuff happening right now. Would love to touch base with you and see how this grows.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and appreciate you being on the podcast.
My pleasure.
I'm very excited to offer a brand new training workshop to you as a podcast listener. Every week, inventors ask me, how do I find the right company to license my invention? That's precisely why I created this new, live, hands-on Zoom training workshop. The workshop's called How to Find the Perfect Company to License Your Invention. But you must act quickly if you want to join us. The workshop is coming up very soon. The workshop consists of 3 modules. Module 1 is how to find companies with products similar to yours. In other words, that could be perfect licensing partners for your invention. Module 2 is how to find the right contacts within those companies so you can reach out to the right person for licensing. And Module 3 is how to find the email addresses for your contacts. I'll share with you proven methods to find those emails. I mentioned you must act quickly to join us. That's because the workshop is scheduled for Thursday, February 27th, and you must pre-register if you want to join us. Don't wait. To join the live hands-on workshop, just go to www.alanbeckley.com/perfect. All the details are there. Enrollment is limited to no more than 10 students for this training, so don't wait until it's too late. To recap, you'll learn 3 things: how to find the perfect company, the right person to contact, and their email address in this workshop. Once again, to join us on Thursday, February 27th, just go to alanbeckley.com/perfect to register now. I look forward to meeting you on Thursday, February 27th. So you're done searching for your product, and it's not out there. Yay! Maybe you filed for a provisional patent and done some marketing research or surveys. Heck, maybe you've even created a rough prototype, then found that, although it kind of works, it looks like something from the Stone Age. You'd be embarrassed to show it to your friends, much less to a manufacturer for a licensing pitch. What if I could put you in touch with a guy who offers free consultations, takes no money down, no money up front, and will give you a quote on your project before he starts? What if I told you that this same guy can help you design your product and make you a virtual prototype before you ever put a penny into building a physical one? What if I told you he could make you patent drawings, CAD files for manufacturing, and even make marketing videos and build you a website? If this sounds like someone you want to talk to, let me introduce you to my first podcast sponsor, Brian Keast at I Draw Dreams for Inventors. With 3.5 years of trade school and 15 years of mechanical experience working as a mechanic for General Motors, you have someone that's seen countless design failures and how they were fixed. Also, he had a 25-year career as a general contractor who designed his own houses and remodels on computer-aided design. In getting plans through countless building departments, he gained a tremendous amount of experience by working directly with structural engineers. The many years of combined experience in these two careers gave him a unique look into stresses and failures in design. He brings this wealth of knowledge and experience to his company, I Draw Dreams, as the CAD guy who will design a product for you that will work. Every inventor I've referred to Brian has come away delighted with the work he has done for them, and I think you will too. Just make sure to tell them that Alan sent you. Thanks so much for tuning in to Inventors Helping Inventors. If you like the show, please tell your friends about it. Make sure to subscribe in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts so you won't miss a single episode. Talk to you soon.